Hello world, my name is Tim Roswick, and I want to talk about why games are extra important during a pandemic. And I know that seems backwards, but I want to explain myself because if you're like me, you've probably felt like with all this going down, it's like, oh, I wish I was a doctor, or I wish I was like somebody that could help all of these hurting people and all the stuff that's going on. But instead, I make video games, and it feels weird. Like, okay, well, like, you know, you're saving lives, and you're building face masks, and you're raising money for these nonprofits, but I'm making video games. But then I realized a couple things, and I realized this talking to my brother, who he is a very outgoing extrovert. He's a fitness trainer on top of that, and he works with a catering company, and I feel horrible for him because catering is not a thing right now during this global crisis, and all gyms in Los Angeles are closed. So he just got shut down, and out of nowhere, he's got all this extra time that he doesn't know what to do with. And one of the things we've been doing is we've been playing video games a lot. And he brought some of these up, but I want to go through three specific things why video games are so important right now. Because this is something that really opened my eyes and made it realize as we as creators we're not making useless things that sit on top of an already working economy to like make people feel better, right? Like we're making things that actually help people. So number one is the meditation aspect of it. I talked a little bit about this in my mental health during quarantine video, which I'll link up here. But basically, there is a meditation that you get from sitting down and immersing yourself in a game. It's like a reset. It's like a mind absorption thing that you get. So like if you've ever sat down and meditated and tried to clear your mind, right? You're sitting down silently with no input output. Just you've got like a constant steady noise. I like to use the hum from like an air conditioner or something like that. And you just sit down, you kind of clear your mind, right? It's very hard to do. The first time you do it, you're not going to do it well. It's very hard to just clear your mind with so much going on. There's always cell phones and news and dings and notification sounds and all this stuff. It's very hard to clear your mind. Video games tend to actually do this very, very well though. If you can get yourself immersed into a game, like one of the ones I've been playing lately is XCOM. If you put your headphones on, dim the lights, you know, really get into that game, you become a commander in an army fighting an alien resistance, right? And when you come out of it, it's like a blank slate. You've like cleared your mind of your worries and all that stuff. And it's super, super, super effective. My brother was telling me that when we were playing games together, it's really, really helps him with all the shit going on, because like in that moment we're engaged, we're talking to each other, right? Like we're playing a video game. We were playing GTA 5 the other day and driving around robbing liquor stores, just having a good time, not even doing the missions. We're just riding around stealing cars, robbing liquor stores together, and it helped us both tremendously because it was a good time, right? The second thing is a sense of progression during a global pandemic, during an economy downturn, right? During a market crash, it feels like everything comes to a standstill. And one of the things that games do fantastic is their progression system. And most progression systems do something that life does not do. They only move forward. In life, one, you usually can't tell when you're making progress, right? If you work on your game today and you worked on it yesterday, but it feels like nothing got done. You didn't go from level 2 to level 3 like you did in that video game, right? It's not that clear cut. It's not like, boom, you made progress. Your number went up, your bar filled up, you got 5 coins, right? There's no mathematical way to track the progress in real life. And as a result, it can be very disheartening because it feels like you're not making progress even though you are. Games take their progression systems and they make it very clear. And there's a reason why they work. We as humans like to see that. We like these progression systems, and it makes us feel like we're achieving something and completing something. And you could argue, well, you're really not. You're wasting time playing a video game. I would disagree though, because I feel like the emotional impact of making progress makes me continue on to get other wins. I've noticed, I brought up XCOM. XCOM's a perfect example. Like some of those battles get really intense. I got these soldiers fighting these aliens, right? And if one of those soldiers dies, they're dead forever. And like, that sucks. I mean, I could save scum and like, not gonna lie, I've definitely done that before. But it's still intense because like, I don't want to lose these soldiers, right? So like, when I defeat these aliens that I didn't think would work, my strategy I didn't think would work, right? I had some really intense, crazy battles I didn't think I was going to make it out of. And then succeeding at that, it's like, oh, I did a thing. I succeeded. I progressed, right? And I've noticed that I can ride that high into work sometimes. Like I can be like, okay, well, that's enough XCOM. I succeeded. Yeah, let me get some work done. And then I'm like, my brain doesn't know the difference between an XCOM victory and a real life victory. So that progression and that high that you get from like succeeding and the level up and the upgrades and all that stuff, it can help you feel better during a time of crisis where everybody's emotional state is really, really low. And I think that's super important. Number 3 is the distraction. And depending on how distraction is used, it can go either way, right? Like obviously on the darker side, there is a video game addiction where people use distraction to never deal with real life. They play it way too much, and as a result, they don't ever feel their emotions. They don't ever deal with their relationship problems. They don't ever like solve their issues. They just distract themselves with games. And it's not games' fault because people do the same thing with TV. I read in America the average time that people watch TV per day is 8 hours. 8 hours of TV. Like, I don't know how you watch that much TV. I don't know. I mean, if Tiger King's on, sure, maybe you binge that in one sitting like I did. But like still, outside of that, I don't know how you would do that. But people do. People use this on the dark side. But I'm going to talk about the good side of distraction, because obviously if you have addiction issues, like, and I'm not going to say I'm above that. I was addicted to food. I still kind of am. Soda and all these different things are like, they're my vices. Everybody has different vices. Everybody has different weaknesses. So you've got to be careful with something like this. But the positive side of distraction is that your brain is a muscle. Okay. And if you're in the gym and you're doing bicep curls over and over again, that can't be the only thing that you do at the gym. And you can't do too many of those, because at some point you're no longer working out your arm. At some point you're hurting your muscle. At some point your muscle is worked out and it needs rest. My brother, who's a fitness trainer, was telling me that recovery is arguably more important than the workout itself. And a lot of people don't give themselves a recovery time, so they don't build muscle. Because what's happening is when you're lifting a weight, you're tearing muscle fibers. And during recovery, your body makes them longer, which ends up making the muscle bigger. Really fascinating stuff, but it applies the same way to your brain. I'm not a fucking neurologist PhD, but this is how I see it. I find that when I focus on something for too long, I lose clarity, I lose motivation, I lose any ability to make decisions. Like it's like this analysis paralysis, right? Video games, when they distract you, when they pull you out of this world and into a new level, into a new world, they take your brain off of whatever currently is the focus, right? And by doing that, you're giving that subject rest. You're resting your muscle in that way, right? Especially if you've been reading a bunch of news and all this shit, you've been really like getting yourself freaked out over this whole thing, right? It can be really easy to just focus on it way too much, and then you can like literally destroy the quality of your life just by what you're reading. So distracting yourself from that, I think is super important. And I think it's different from the meditation aspect, because the meditation aspect wipes the slate clean, and it can literally help you reform your thinking with a blank slate of brain. Distraction, the good kind, can pull you out of something that is overwhelming, right? It can pull you out of something that maybe you can't quite deal with, and arguably that the same thing that makes it good is the same thing that makes it bad, given excess. But anything in excess is bad. So I really believe that games can change the world. That's been a motto of Game Dev Underground for quite some time. And I think the world needs games more than ever right now. I think games are a positive impact. They definitely had a huge impact on my childhood. I've told the story here on the channel before about how they helped me through some really rough times when my parents were fighting, when getting made fun of at school and all this stuff. And it helped me cope with some really dark times. And so I really, really, really believe that games can help people cope. I believe that they're a coping tool. And I don't think as game developers we should feel guilty for working on these things and building these things, even though I do still feel that way sometimes. I remind myself of all the good stuff that games can do. And so I think, you know, my mission has always been the same, to help more developers make more games. And I think during this pandemic and a global crisis and a global mental health crisis and a global, you know, recession, I think we need to do our part and step up and make more of these things, not less. Because I think these are the silent force behind a lot of people's mental health. I think a lot of media is, not just games. And I see it as my duty to make people happy, right? On Twitch, I spent the last couple of weeks making a game about the toilet paper panic for no other reason than just to put smiles on people's faces. And I think we need to do more of that. So I want to say thank you to these lovely people right here. They help me keep doing what I'm doing. If you want to join Patreon, you can hit up the link down below. Or if you want to join a community of thousands of game developers all over the world, there's a Discord link down in the description below, and you can join that and talk to game developers from all over the world. You can share our experiences and all that lovely stuff. But my name is Tim Roswick, and I will see you in the next video.